So Google has been moving fast with the Gemini 3 series, and the latest release give a pretty clear picture of where the AI model space is heading right now. The trend is not just about building more powerful models anymore. It's about making capable and affordable models to run at volume. And that's exactly what Gemini 3.1 Flash-Lite is. It launched on March 3rd, 2026, and it sits at the bottom of the Gemini 3 family in terms of price. But it gets really interesting once you look at what it actually scores on benchmarks and how it compared to models that came before it. The model is available right now in preview through Google AI Studio and through Vertex AI for enterprise teams. No waitlist. You go to AI Studio, pick the model from the drop down, and you can start using it immediately. And input tokens are priced at 0.25 per million and output tokens at $1.50 per million. To put that in perspective, if you are building something that processes hundreds of thousands of requests a day, even small differences in per token cost start to add up to real money really fast. Running a large model for that kind of volume can get expensive enough it changes whether a product is financially viable at all. Also, according to the artificial analysis benchmark, the model runs at 363 tokens per second. That number alone is notable. But what makes it more meaningful is the comparison versus 2.5 Flash, which was not a small or slow model. The 3.1 Flash-Lite is 2.5 times faster on time to first token. That's a gap between the moment you send a request and the moment the model starts outputting, and then output speed itself is 45% higher. On the Arena AI leaderboard, which ranks model based on the real user preference votes in head-to-head comparison, it scored 1432 ELO. That's not a theoretical score on a controlled academic test. That's based on actual human judgments about which model output was better. On GPQA Diamond, which tests graduate level scientific reasoning, it scored 86.9%. On MMU Pro, which evaluate multimodal understanding across both images and text together, it hit 76.8%. Both of these are strong numbers, but here is what makes them genuinely interesting. This model outperformed the older 2.5 Flash on several of those benchmarks. The 2.5 Flash was not a light model. It was full tier model with a higher price and more computational weight, and the 3.1 Flash-Lite is beating it. Also, one feature that makes this model more flexible than a typical light model is the thinking level settings. Google built in a way for developer to control how deeply the model reasons before it responds. You can dial it down for simple tasks where speed is a priority and the questions are straightforward. Things like translation, context moderation, tagging, classification, and something like that. And you can dial it up when the task is more complex and you need the model to actually work through the problem before answering. Something like generating a complete UI, building a simulation, writing structured report, or following multi-step instruction accurately. That's actually a meaningful feature because it means you are not choosing between two separate models for simple versus complex tasks. You adjust the same model depending on what you exactly need, which simplifies infrastructure and keeps cost predictable. Alright, so let me show you what this actually looks like in practice. The first one is an interactive financial portfolio dashboard. I gave it a prompt asking for a full dashboard built in single HTML5. It needed to include a portfolio performance, chart showing gains and loss over time. So basically a complete financial UI with animated, dynamic data, not just a static layout. The output is genuinely solid. The performance chart rendered correctly as a line graph with historical data plotted across it. The asset allocation section came through a clean visual breakdown. The ticker area showed multiple symbols updating at a time interval with green and red color shifted based on whether the value was going up or down. Overall, the layout is well organized, the color scheme is consistent, and the interactive element actually worked without any manual fixing. For developers who prototype a lot or need to demo something quickly to a client, that kind of turnaround is practically useful. Also, the second test was an interactive procedural train builder. I prompted to build a canvas-based landscape simulation in a single HTML file. The requirements were real-time train generation using noise algorithm, a color gradient system that mapped different elevation levels to different visual zones like water, sand, grass, forest, and snow. a set of things for adjusting things like train roughness, water level and zoom, and the whole thing had to be interactive without a page reload. This one pushed the model harder because procedural train generation require actual mathematical logic. You need to map those values correctly to color ranges, and you need to wire the UI control so they feed back into the generation algorithm cleanly. The model produced a working train map with the elevation color zone rendering at the right level. The slider updated the output in real time. The roughness control changed the texture of the train visibly. The water level slider raised and lowered the visual boundary between land and sea. But for this test, it was not perfect on the first run. I have to do some follow-ups and ask it to fix some things. It corrected immediately and the output was clean. That kind of interactions are actually normal and expected. The point is, it understood what was wrong and fixed it precisely without breaking anything. That's where reasoning quality shows up in a practical way. A model with weaker comprehension would have introduced new bugs while trying to fix the first one. Both of these models tell the story about the model's actual character. It handles front-end and UI generation at a quality level that's noticeably above what you would expect from a light or budget model. The code is produced and structured, the logic is sound enough to work without major correction, and the generation speed means the feedback loop between prompt and working output is short enough to be genuinely useful in a real workflow. Beyond the demos, early testers that Google highlighted in the official announcement confirmed a similar experience. Companies like Latitude, Cartwheel have already been using it on real workload. Their feedback was that it handled complex input with precision you would expect from a large model and that it maintained instruction adherence across runs. That consistency matters more than most people acknowledge when you are building something in production. A model that works well 80% of the time creates more problems than it solves. The 3.1 Flash-Lite seems to land closer to the reliable end of that range, especially for the task it's built for. Okay, so let me tell you where it does fall short. So the things like deeply complex physics simulation, stateful game logic, or anything requiring persistent context across a long multi-step build is going to give you a tough time because this is not a pro-level model and it does not try to be. If you are building something with heavy real-time 3D interactivity or system that require dozens of interconnected state variables, you are going to notice the limit. But those are tasks where you would be reaching for a pro model regardless of this price. The practical positioning for this model is clear. High volume pipelines, real-time applications, rapid prototyping, content processing at scale, translations, agentic tasks with clear steps, and front-end generation. In all of those categories, it performs well and the cost makes it sustainable to run at volume. And with thinking levels, giving you the option to push it harder when the task requires it. The coverage is broader than the light model dynamically offers. For a model at this price point, the combination is harder to find than you might think. Alright, so that's it from the video and I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. And I'll see you in the next video.